Little bit before 9, and I am headed down to the south side to enter, so get some new tenants in, do the final checklist. There's 5 of them living together, which is awesome, and it's family, and had needed an extra signature or two for 1 or 2 of them, but most of them are already signed, so I'm very excited. I figured I'd spend this trip with you talking about how to boost your rent. It is Sunday morning. How to boost your rental ROI. So I'm gonna be heading onto Lakeshore soon. So if I'm not looking at you, it's not because I don't love you. I do. It's just because of the fact I have to look at the road and I'm on Lakeshore Drive. But I figured before we get started with that, I want to talk to you about 5 different things you can do to boost your rental ROI. So first thing I want to talk about is in-unit laundry. Now, there's a few different varieties of this, and I want to break this down by where you're living. So if you're in the north side, you're living somewhere like Logan Square, Lakeview, Albany Park, something like that. Having in-unit laundry could definitely be a great thing. In fact, having a new laundry facility could help increase your rental rates by about $150 to $300 per month because people want it so much. However, one of the things that we've noticed is on the south side, give me 1 second, going onto Lakeshore Drive, on the south side, we don't necessarily always put in the washer and dryer. What we do is we do the laundry hookup. So, because we found that some of the rates are a little bit lower, because on the north side you have higher rent rates that can accommodate that. So, because you might spend a few $1,000s putting in a laundry hookup with all the gas lines, the water lines, the electric, stuff like that, and then buying the appliances. That might be too expensive for something on the south side, and your rent rates might not accommodate that. But on the north side, if you, like I said, let's just take Logan Square, you're putting something in, you're in a 3-bedroom, 2-bath Logan Square, you're probably paying $2,500 to $3,000 a month, somewhere in that range. It's possible to be able to accommodate that. So you want to make sure that you have those high-end fixtures in there, like having a washer and dryer, because people look for that. So that's number 1. Number 2, let's talk about flooring. Ooh, I'm going to put on this visor, it's getting a little bright. So let's talk about flooring here next. So there's a number of different flooring that I would talk about. And you're going to be paying, if you're doing some work in terms of flooring, you're going to be paying anywhere from about $4 a square foot all the way up to about $6, $7, even $10 if you're doing some tile or something like that. So first thing we'll talk about, if you're doing flooring, if you want to do some tile, that's great. Normally I recommend, if you're an investor, just keep tile to like your main, your kitchen, your bathroom. Don't have it across the entire house. I don't even know if you needed tile across the entire kitchen. I would say you're more likely to use tile in your bathroom. I don't even, for a rental unit, I don't even know if I would necessarily tile up your walls. Like some people like it. So for a homeowner, that's different. That's personal preference. If you're renting out a property, then I don't think you necessarily need to have a property tiled up the walls, because that's just extra expense for you. So that's the first thing. Let's talk about tile. Minimize the tile, because you really don't need to do that much, because it'll be more expensive in the long run. The second option is hardwood floors. Now, if you're running a rental property, I would generally tell you, don't work on having the rental property in hardwood floors unless it's already there. So if you could sand and stain it, 100% do that. Normally we're about $6 a square foot to sand and stain as a general contractor. It's a great option. You get to restore the original wood. People love it. It's very in trend to make sure that you're able to keep that original wood. That said, going in to do something new, I wouldn't recommend that, because there's just not enough out there to justify doing that. You're not getting enough in value in the rent for that. Remember, this is about a video about rental ROI, and as a landlord, you need to be focused on, hey, will this bring in enough rental value for me? Even on the north side, I wouldn't recommend it unless it's a very high-end luxury home. Coming in right now, can't see it because of the video, but coming right now down into Lincoln Park, going into North Gold Coast, maybe some areas around here, I could see possibly doing that, because you're going to get your value back from doing that, because it's going to make you stand out. It's going to help you rent your property faster. But anywhere else, I'm not really seeing the value in doing that. Again, sand and stain, definitely do that. The other option, by the way, and this is what a lot of times we do, is do LVP. This summer I was helping a landlord out in Edgewater, and I know I've shared some videos of this in the past where we helped her rent out her condo, and one of the things that we did was we did some LVP, some high-end LVP. So I think she ended up spending a little bit more than your average LVP buyer for a landlord, but she wanted it to be looking a little nicer, and I agree with her. It's like it made a huge impact on the final tenant, and they were grateful for it, so it worked out. And I think she was spending about, I can't remember right now, because like I said, the materials itself I think were about $3 a square foot. Now normally LVP you can get for about $1.50 if you're going in there, depending upon what you're looking for. Now I will say LVP will not last as long as hardwood. I had a run-in with a realtor a few months ago, and I told her she asked what type of flooring we do, and I told her, I said we did, and I showed her some examples, and she said, "You do LVP?" And I'm like, "Yeah, why not?" She said, "Oh, I don't deal with that fake plastic." And I'm like, "Okay, well, it works well for a lot of our clients." She said, "Yeah, but it doesn't last like hardwood." This is literally the conversation. I'm like, okay, but I get that, but you're paying less money, and for a lot of rental properties it makes sense. She said, "Yeah, but I don't want to deal with that fake plastic. I had clients who do LVP, I won't work with them anymore." I'm like, so be it. As a landlord, LVP is not going to last as long as hardwood. I'm never going to tell you that, but it is a great quality flooring option, and it can help keep your rental going for a lot longer. So, and you're going to save money in the long run. So why not do that? You'll definitely save money in the short run. It will help you also in the long run because you're not going to be spending as much. So that's the second thing I've gone through. Third, let's talk about kitchen refreshes, and then we're going to talk about bathrooms after that. For kitchen refreshes, keep in mind this is not your full remodel. You want to you're focusing on your basics here. And by the way, I'm stopped, so I'm taking a look. I see some people are listening. Thank you for everyone who's joined us. I am on Lakeshore Drive right now. Look at that, by the way. I don't know if you can see it. Oh, it's not that visible. It's a sheet of ice out there with a large cloud formation coming in. It's kind of crazy. Woo! Nuts. But we have a lot of options in terms of kitchens besides for just doing a full gut rehab. Now we're doing a full gut rehab for someone right now out in West Pullman, I think it is. I can't remember. I think it's West Pullman. But this is a homeowner who has been in this house since she was a kid, like 2 or 3 years old, and she inherited the property from her mom, and she plans on living there the rest of her life. Now for her, she wants to do a gut rehab because she doesn't want to have to think about it again forever. So, but she's been living there for 40 years, and she'll live there another 40 years. So this for her is a nice way of refreshing the bathroom. But it's costing about $35,000 to do this gut rehab on the kitchen. Now, if you're a homeowner, I'm never going to tell you don't do it because it makes you feel happy. But if you're a investor, unless the property is a gut rehab to begin with, let's focus on the basics, especially when you're talking about rental ROI and you're doing a turnover. The goal here is that you're making sure it looks good so you can get the next tenant in there. The goal is not to make sure you're on Good House Weekly or whatever it is. I don't remember the name of the magazine. So in order to do that, focus on the cabinets. A lot of times cabinets, they start to look dated after a few years. They start looking scratched. Starting to look at, if you can sand and stain them, that'd be great. Maybe you could paint them depending upon the color, giving it some life to those cabinets. In addition to that, I would also tell you that take a look at your appliances. Are your appliances up to date? Is there anything you could do with your appliances that will help give it that better look and feel? Furthermore, when you do you focus on things like your cabinets, your counters and lighting, by the way. Sorry. Counters are great. Another way to do it, because then if you're fixing up the counters, you're updating it, get rid of that ugly like brown granite. Ugh, I have that in my place right now. It's ugly. My wife and I are talking about updating it. No one wants that. So I would say if you're putting in there and you want to get something for a rental ROI boost, one of the best things you do, improve the counters, and then also improve the lighting. A lot of times you have in these kitchens, especially some of those old Chicago kitchens, And thank you everyone who's joining. I'm on Lakeshore Drive, so if I'm not responding right away, I'm not ignoring you. If you're in Lakeshore Drive, or if you're in a kitchen and you have those old Chicago kitchens, one of the things that'll really make a difference is having a little boost to it, so you could actually improve the lighting, because a lot of times they just didn't have the right lighting back when they built it. So if it hasn't been updated in 30, 40, 50, 70 years, putting in some LED lights, putting in some can lighting would really make it look nicer. In addition to that, by the way, I'm seeing people say hi. In addition to that, like I said, those counters really are good. Painting stuff is always good, and I'll talk about painting more in a second. Giving it that general look and feel like it's updated. It doesn't have to look like it's in Good Housing Weekly, but it has to feel like it's updated and right for your tenants. Fourth thing, bathrooms. This is one of those things that a lot of tenants look at. If they're going to look at one thing, they're going to look at bathrooms. If they see a disgusting bathroom, they're not going to want to live there. Now, again, you don't have to do a full gut rehab on a bathroom. We've done we do a lot of gut rehabs on bathrooms, and they're great projects, and they're some of the best work that we've done. But I will tell you that you don't necessarily need to have a gut rehab on a bathroom. What you really need is something that will help you give it that best look and feel. Now, one thing that we always recommend is reglazing whenever possible. So your tubs, like a lot of times after a few years, it starts to look worn down. Reglazing that tub, it's not going to look 100%. It's never going to look exactly like brand new, but it'll look about 95, 98% like brand new. Might have a little of the bumps in there that you wouldn't have initially, but it's pretty smooth. It looks really good. And when a tenant's coming in and taking a look at a property, they're going to see that new tub and they're going to say, oh, at least it's clean. It'll really help them. Oh, by the way, I see some people are coming in here. If you're in here, please give us a like, give us a listen. Talking about boosting our rental ROI. So I'm going to go back to bathrooms in a second, but I want to thank everyone who's listening here today. So going to the next thing, when you're looking at bathrooms, also take a look at your vanity. Is your vanity big enough? Can you add a little bit more lighting? Sort of similar to the bathroom. Thank you for the likes. Let's get some more likes. If you're doing a rental bathroom, one of the things you want to take a look at is making sure there's enough space, making sure that the vanity is big enough. Those small little vanities that people used to get don't work anymore. It's not enough space for people. So you definitely want to take a look at what we could do to make it give a better ROI, because when you start to put those in there, again, you're starting to get boost in your rent, because by having those things in there and having a better vanity, having a better tub, you're starting to make it look more professional, look like a place they want to go. I went into a property a few weeks ago to look at something for another investor, and they wanted me to look at the property, and I saw cockroaches coming out of the tub. It was gross. It was coming out of the kitchen also, and the tenant was actually boiling hot water to kill the cockroaches. That said, I'm like, no one's gonna want to rent here. Like, you have to get rid of the cockroaches, and we're not a pest control company. And I told them, I said, before you even do anything, you need to hire an exterminator to get rid of all this, because we're not going to do it ourselves. We don't have the capability, we don't have the license to actually do the extermination. We're not going to take on the responsibility of that. It's gross, it's disgusting, it needs to be taken care of. Please do it. So that's something we're waiting on. But the fifth and final thing I want to talk to you about today is painting. So if you are looking to update a property, and this is one that a lot of investors right now, paint your house. Making sure that you have people painting your house to give it that updated feel. Even if it's something like an Airbnb, you want to make sure if they're there for a week, it looks fresh. I mean, you're probably not going to need a paint after every person comes in through an Airbnb, but you want to make sure it looks really, really good for them. And the best way to do that is to paint the house. Make sure it looks like it has that updated look and feel. And that makes such a big difference. That's one of the biggest things a lot of landlords need to do to give it that updated feel. So that's pretty much it for me today. I know there's some people listening. If anyone has questions, I will definitely answer them afterwards, since I am on the highway right now. Going down to one of my properties that we just rented. So as I mentioned before, we're going to be talking about how to boost your rental ROI. I figured that was a great way to spend my trip on a Sunday morning. going down to the south side to get my property rented. Have the lease here in hand. Well, not in my hand, but it's in the car. And just excited to talk to you today about how to boost your rental ROI. I hope this is helpful. I hope this is valuable. Let me know what you think. If you have any comments, put them in. This is Andy Nathan, Creative Smart Contractors, also licensed realtor. Let me know if there's some way I can help you in Chicago with your rental property, making sure that it works great. I appreciate everyone who listened in today. Have a great day and a better week. I am heading out.